Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We Will Survive. My name is Kathy Brooks. Last week I talked about healthcare and soul food, right? And how they intertwine with one another. And I said that I was going to talk this week about medical racism, which is directly related to the healthcare and our diet and things like that. And I was absolutely prepared to do just that until something else came to my attention. And as the week went on, I became more and more affected by this other topic that I actually will be talking about today. Um, and so everybody knows that next Tuesday is the official election day. Many of us have either mailed in our ballots or um, voted early or whatever. A lot of people are very concerned about the outcome of this upcoming election. Um, a lot of people are not completely happy with our choices. What we actually have is 270 something white men who are running for president. It is not anything new, nor is it anything that is different. Most people agree that Trump is not really concerned about anybody but himself or with his friends. And by friends, I mean his wealthy friends who have benefited greatly from some of the things that he has put into action. He's clearly not concerned about his base. A lot of the things that he's done is counterproductive toward that group of people. However, I've gotten emails and texts and things saying that um, Trump is our savior, and that to me is is scary. Jesus is the only one who can save anyone, to my opinion. To my opinion. And so when somebody said to me that he was the savior, I'm like, this has gotten out of hand. It's certainly gotten out of control. People are drinking the Kool-Aid by gallons, and we are going to benefit from that. And by benefit, I mean we're going to suffer. Um, so his sister, Trump's sister, has actually said that his base consists of people that he wouldn't even have a meal with. So he does not have respect for them. He does not care about what is better for them or what's best for them. It's been declared that Biden is a shoo-in for the black vote, right? He doesn't even need to come and talk to us about anything because he was Obama's vice president. And he went on the Breakfast Club and said, you ain't black if you don't, whatever. He said little things that I guess he thought was funny. He pandered to us a little bit, and that was disheartening. Um, he doesn't have to stand on his own at this point, is the belief system anyway. I believe that he understood that he probably needed something to draw us in, and that's why he chose Kamala Harris as his running mate. He saw that she was a bright black woman, and that she is. I mean, it is possible that she is the brightest person who was actually running for any office. We had a thousand Democrats trying to be president, and she was certainly one of the brightest of that bunch. And she certainly can do circles around the people that are running right now. She's a very bright woman. Okay. Um, So there's some problems that some of the black community has with Kamala Harris. When she was a prosecutor, and she served as three levels of prosecutors in California before she came to become a senator. And she was harsh on sentencing black people who would otherwise not have been incarcerated at all. So she was one of those law and order type people. This led to overcrowded prisons, which also led to some people who should have been incarcerated not being, because there was no space for them. So that's a bit of a problem for people, and they're holding on to that. And in this instance, they're not believing that people can change their perspective or anything like that. They're holding on to what she did while she was in California. She has since pioneered a pretty progressive prison reform plan. And then Biden, he came in and he also backs a very aggressive prison reform act that would eliminate disproportionate prison plan so that black people would not be disproportionately incarcerated. And that's a wonderful thing. Um, so at this point, the last minute, so to speak, you know, Trump is trying to, understand what he needs to do to get the black community to vote for him. I believe most people know that not much has been done to place blacks on an equal playing field with whites since the Civil Rights Act. Even with the Civil Rights Act, other minorities, especially white women, uh, ended up getting assisted and being equal. Black people were at the bottom, at the end of the line for the Civil Rights Act. So a lot of us did not um, benefit from it at all. So, because of the Democratic candidates are less than ideal, some of the rappers have chosen to back Trump's candidacy. This is regardless of his record for white supremacy. His father was a sorry, I'm getting anxious. His father was a white supremacist, as is he. How do I know he's a white supremacist? I listen to him. I listen to what he says. I listen to how he says things. I listen to the way that he talks about people and how he kind of looks down at people. I listen to him in his first election. He didn't even really address us very much as a community. And what he said to us was, what do you got to lose? And that's kind of scary because that means he's thinking that we all have nothing. And, he's not going to do anything for you, but what you got to lose? And so that's kind of scary. I know that he's been working with Kim Kardashian and letting some people out of prison who people think, should not have been in prison. What I do know is that there are a lot of people who are incarcerated who are innocent. And even once they were found innocent by DNA, when they found the actual person, those people are still in jail. And he could have very easily let out people who were innocent. That would be real prison reform. But I'm getting ahead of myself, I guess, a little bit. I knew that he was a racist long before he came down the elevator and started saying that people from Mexico were rapists and killers and things of that nature. I knew that when he took out full page advertisement for the Central Park Five, where he said that they had to be guilty. Like, why were they in the park? So I guess he doesn't think that black people can appreciate nature, and walking in the park is a very tranquil surroundings. I guess he didn't think that. So even when they found that these boys were actually innocent, he didn't apologize. I mean, remember, he took out a full page ad, and he came out and he said, not only should we criminalize these young boys, but we should hate them. Now, I've never hated anybody because that's a really strong word that takes a whole lot of energy. But he wanted us to hate them. And when he found that they were innocent, he didn't say, oh, I apologize for saying that I think that you were criminals, and I'm sorry that you spent so much time incarcerated. What he said was, well, I'm sure they did something because they were in the park. So he's not somebody to back down. He's not someone to apologize. He's not someone who will say, I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? So these people, this is how I know he's a white supremacist, is what I'm saying to you. So in 19, I'm sorry, 19, in 2018, Trump signed the First Step Act, which eliminated Clinton's three-strike law for nonviolent offenders. The act also offered a second chance employment for former inmates, which is a wonderful thing. While the act is necessary, it does not address anything that is specifically for the Black community. It helps all of the people who have been incarcerated, right? And while Blacks are disproportionately incarcerated, they are not the only people who are incarcerated. So that act was not specifically for the Black community. The thing that I have come to know, to understand, is that Donald Trump is a pathological liar. I do not trust anything that he says. If he comes on television, I instinctively listen because I want to know what's going on, but I know that he's not going to tell the truth. So after he talks, then someone will come on, interpret what he says, give some factual information, and then I'll understand what's going on. Um, I remember when we just became aware of coronavirus, and I remember him saying it was a hoax. And he knew about it long before it got out of hand. And excuse me, he was the one who said that we didn't need to worry about it. And it's because he didn't want us, he came in later and said he didn't want the citizens to worry about it. Now, what we needed to do is be informed so that we would get our gloves, that we would get our masks, that we would make ourselves healthy, safe, because so many people have died. I read today that over 900,000 people have been diagnosed with the coronavirus in the United States. And this man is saying he didn't want us to worry. We needed to be concerned. We didn't have to worry, but we needed to be knowledgeable about it, and we needed to be concerned about it. A lot of people would not have been sick. A lot of people would not have died. A lot of families would not have been devastated had he just been honest. But he didn't want us to worry, he said. And I know that he has this, I don't even know what to call it. He has this thing about him where he only wants to say the positive stuff about his administration, right? He only wants it to be good news that he gives us. The coronavirus is bad news for everybody in the world. Globally, it is a bad thing. So we needed to be careful. We needed to wear our masks. We needed to wear our gloves to minimize social activity to prevent the spreading of the virus. He didn't even want to wear a mask, and consequently, he supposedly got the virus along with his immediate family. We needed to cut it all out. We really did. We needed to stay home, and it doesn't matter if we were uncomfortable. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. We needed to cut it out, and we needed to stay home, and we needed to get it under control like the rest of the world did. But people didn't want to do that. He didn't tell us that it was important until we started seeing the numbers rise and rise. And then we had to admit to ourselves that it was very important. And then by that time, he started saying that he wanted the churches open, he wanted the schools open. He threatened, he said, if the schools don't open, I'm going to withhold money. He said if the churches didn't open, he was going to do something. I forget what he said he was going to do, because he's always threatening people. So, you know, I'll count that to my head, and to my heart, because I just can't with him. Um, and he said that we needed to get back together. We needed to be the United States. We needed to open up jobs. He needed, everything to go back to normal, except it's not normal. like it's not normal. People are still in hospitals. There are hospitals who are still up to capacity, and people are still dying. So we're not at normal. We needed a leader to tell us what to do to sustain our lives. Like if we had to work from home or whatever, then that's what we needed to do. If you're home with somebody you don't like, sorry. I'm really, really sorry. You probably shouldn't live with people you don't like. I don't know, but I know that keeping us from worrying has resulted in a lot of deaths, and that's more than unfortunate. That's like a crime. So, gee, thanks, Trump. Thanks a lot. So now, what has really bothered me is that the rap community appears to be leaning toward Trump. And I know that I am not their demographic. I get that. I know they don't care what I say. I know they probably won't hear what I have to say about it. But um, I'm still disappointed in them because I think that they're leaning toward the fact that we are a capitalistic, individualistic society. And I think they're thinking about themselves and they're not thinking about the black community as a whole. And that kind of pisses me off a little bit. So, Kanye West, um, we know that Kanye supports Donald Trump. He has not supported Donald Trump. So much so that he planned on voting for him in November, but then he turned it around and he said, I'm going to run for president and I want you to write me in. And while that may sound ludicrous to me, it probably is not ludicrous to everybody. Somebody's going to write his name in, taking a vote away from somebody who probably will not do what Trump will do if he wins. So I know that was a planned activity. I believe Trump is at the crust of it, and we are going to suffer because of it. And so what he said is, we know who I'm voting on. I'm not going to be told by the people around me and the people that have their own agenda that my career is going to be over. Because guess what? I am here. Jesus is King was number one. So it's unclear if he's really voting for Trump or if he's going to vote for himself. But what I do know is he's not voting in favor of the black community, and it's disheartening. So, Little Wayne, again, I don't really care about Little Wayne, but I do care the effect that he has on the community. He came out a while ago and said that he doesn't have to worry about racism. That's not his problem. He's a rich man. And he apparently thinks that racism is just a class issue. He doesn't realize that it can affect him as well. So, okay, he doesn't care. And he tweeted the other day, he just had a meeting with the real Donald Trump, POTUS. Besides what he's done so far for criminal reform, the Platinum Plan is going to give the community real ownership. He listened to what we had to say, and then he assured he will, and can get it done. And so that made me think, oh my God, Little Wayne is a little stupid. I know I learned in elementary school that you're not supposed to call people stupid, but I can't think of another thing. Donald Trump is a pathological liar. I thought everybody knew that because he just lies every time he opens his mouth. So if he thinks that Trump assured that he will and can get it done, get what done? You were satisfied with him saying he can and will get it done without him giving you some information on what it is. And so I think that he might be a little stupid. He doesn't care what I say, so he'll never know what I said about him. And if he does, I still think he's stupid. So what I want to say is that Ice Cube kind of bothered me a little bit because I thought that he was a different brother. But anyway, Ice Cube, he worked out this platinum plan and he took it to the Democrats and they said they deal with it after the election. The election is something that they were thinking about right now because it's a serious election. It's an important election. And he was not pleased with that. And so he took it to Trump. And Trump said, okay, we can and will get it done. And so um, I said, now what is this platinum plan? Because I don't want to pretend that Trump is this guy who, really is trying to do something for the black community. And so I looked it up. Um, and he has four pillars. The first pillar is opportunity. And he says, by achieving historic employment levels for Black Americans, as well as increasing access to capital for new business, President Trump has been committed to ensuring all Black Americans can achieve the American dream. And so, what does that mean? Because it is two sentences that says nothing. He's going to let us achieve the American dream, and God bless him. So, what does that mean? We're going to achieve historic employment levels. He told us that he already did that. He said he's done more for black employment than anybody since Lincoln. He's wonderful. So, okay. The second pillar is security. By signing into law the celebrated First Step Act, President Trump has brought common sense criminal justice reform to the American people for the first time in decades, while ensuring that our streets and communities are safe for families and business owners. So, isn't that nice? So I was on the computer the other day, and um, I saw this family, and this family said that they had a family member who was mentally ill, and they called for an ambulance for the family member, and instead they sent the police. That was the first problem, and the police killed him um, in the middle of the street. So. Um, Is that what he means by making our streets and communities safe? That the police are just going to kill all the black people and then everything will be fine? Because I don't see how that made the streets safe. This was someone with a mental illness who should have gone to a hospital. Instead, um, the police, who happened to only have a taser when they're in a white community or dealing with a white person, because they never seem to remember they have the taser when they deal with black people. They go straight for the gun and they kill people. So I'm not feeling all that secure. On previous episodes, I talk about the fact that I'm over 2,000 miles away from my son, and I still have to check to make sure he's safe and home at home before I can go to sleep, because I don't feel a sense of security. The police have been wilding out all year, and previous years as well, but this year I do not feel a sense of security with them out there. All right, his third pillar is prosperity. As the first president to provide long term funding to historically black colleges and universities, this administration continues to seek immediate and generational advancements for black Americans. So, again, he's not really saying anything. He's saying he's going to give some funding to HBCUs, and then the other day he said he was going to take funding from HBCUs. So, uh, prosperity. That's what he's given us. And then fairness, as demonstrated through his actions to initiate investment into opportunity zones, as well as address health disparities, wage gaps, and necessary education reforms. President Trump works every day to advance a fair and just America for the black community. That's not true. because they're taking money from public education. He actually said that he was going to take funding away if they didn't open the schools, and then when they opened the schools, people got sick. So he doesn't care very much about education reforms. And by the way, if you do let's pretend he's going to do educational reform. If you do, is it going to be schools with only black people in there? Is that how that's going to help the black community? Or is it going to help America all around because everybody goes to school? So that's not for the black community. Education reforms are never for the black community. It is always a social healing that comes from education reform. Health care. He's gonna he's gonna address health disparities. I remember when he initially addressed health disparities, and he said it was really hard, and then he stopped doing it. So I don't know that he's really going to do this. Wage gaps. He is a man who doesn't even pay his workers, right? So I'm supposed to believe that he's going to make sure I get paid according to my experience and my education. I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. And so everything that I read in this platinum plan is not specific to the black community at all. It is specific to America. And even then, I do not believe him. I don't believe him because he's not done anything similar in his first term. So why do I believe he's going to do it in the second term? I do not. And then this platinum plan says 3 million new jobs for the black community. How can he say it's going to be 3 million jobs? How can he say that? How can he specify 3 million jobs? Where are these jobs coming from? Does he have 3 million companies? What does he have in line? But it just says 3 million new jobs, creating 500,000 new black owned businesses. Again, a specific number, but it's still very general and vague. Increase access to capital and black communities by almost $500 billion. I will not hold my breath. Safe urban neighborhoods with highest policing standards. I just told you that I saw somebody killed in the middle of the street, in front of his family, in front of his neighbors, in front of the country, in front of the world. So I don't know that that's high policing standards. But okay, commit to working on a second step act. Still, that first step act was not for black people. So I don't think the second step act is going to be for black people either. But maybe I'm just negative. Access to better education and job training opportunities. Again, that will not be for only black people. Give black churches the ability to compete for federal resources for their community. There's something called separation of church and state, and I think he's not separating it very much. And I think that that could be a black hole that we could fall into. And I am a church girl, so I believe in God very much, but I do not believe someone who is, I don't believe that he should be meddling in with anything that has to do with church and the community because I think he is a godless person. Bring better and tailored health care to address historic disparities. He said it's hard and then he stopped, so I don't know. Immigration policy that protect American jobs. So that's giving American people the idea that people are coming over from other countries and taking our jobs. That's not really true. Um, and I don't know how that relates to separating children from their parents and then not knowing which child goes to which parent, and so the children will never get back to their parent. I'm not sure how that actually um, feeds into that, but advance home ownership opportunities and enhance financial literacy in the black community. All right. And then the last one is onshoring manufacturing to advance jobs and develop opportunities for Black owned business. Listen, I am not a negative person, but I do not believe that Donald Trump cares one iota about the Black community. I do not believe he's going to do anything for the Black community. I have not seen anything that he has done for the Black community. Lil Wayne thinks he's done something. Um, but guess what? Like, the all Black people are not criminals, and I understand that some people it are disproportionately, incarcerated, and that needs prison reform needs to happen. But if you're going to affect the entire Black community, you can't say stuff like education reform, prison reform, because that is not going to affect the entire Black community. Some of us are going to be left by the wayside because we're not incarcerated and we're not undereducated. Because believe it or not, Black women are the highest educated group in America. Women are higher in education in America, but Black women are the highest. So if he's thinking that we are not educated people, he is misinformed. Um, and I'm not against education, but education affects the entire country. It is not specific for Black people. So 50 Cent said he has been supportive of Donald Trump for a while, and he acknowledges that the 74-year-old head of state lacks strong leadership skills. And that's very scary to me because you're backing someone who you admit to not having strong leadership skills. And that to me doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Earlier this week, 50 Cent endorsed Trump on his Instagram after he weighed in on Joe Biden's potential tax plan, which would call for residents in California, New York, and New Jersey making over $400,000 a year to pay at least 60% in taxes. He said, I don't care. Trump doesn't like Black people. 62%? Are you out of your effing mind? So he is a capitalist, right? He is an individualistic person. He is someone who is looking out for himself and, to hell with the rest of us. And okay, he doesn't care about the rest of us. Neither does, now I don't know this boy, but Little Pump, I don't know him, but he said, all I got to say is Trump 2020, B word. Then he says, expletive, I look like paying an extra 33 in taxes for Biden's expletive. Um, F Sleepy Joe, N word, Trump 2020. I couldn't say everything that he said because he obviously can't have a whole full sentence without using like 1,000 curse words. So I don't know him and whatever. But I know that he's thinking about himself and not thinking about our community. And that's disheartening at best. So I don't know this person either. Excuse me. Block Boy JB told his Twitter followers in March that he likes President Trump. He said, I'm starting to like Trump. No cap. Dude, expletive, gangster. And you know what? He's right. Trump is gangster in so many ways. He has done so many illegal things since he stepped foot in the White House. Nobody tries to stop him. He gets away with doing things. He has gotten away with treason. He is gangster. Is that what we want? 4 more years of? We want a gangster? Okay. I know that the hip hop world, you know, somehow idolizes gangsters. Like, they give their names, they change their names to gangster names and stuff like that. And so, ignorance is bliss. Fivio Foreign, also don't know who he is, thinks that people rocking the red colored mega hat is hip hop, and I guess it's good. So um, it's disheartening to me, whether I know these people or not. Um, what I know that is that hip hop came out of the black community with people talking about, excuse me, how hard it is, how hard people make it, how hard the police make it for us to just live, to breathe. And now they've earned a certain amount of money, then they're like, F the community now, and it's all about me and how much tax I have to pay. But excuse me, I may not know these people, but I know they don't have to pay 60% in taxes, because there's always been loopholes for the wealthy in the tax bracket, in that tax bracket. They've always had loopholes. Um, like, how did Trump pay $750? $750 for taxes. And why do they think that's smart? I mean, okay. It's like that people are actually not caring about their community. I know that some of these people have friends and family who are not wealthy that are going to be negatively affected if Trump gets another 4 years, and yet they are still, please excuse me, excuse me, they're still going to vote for him so they don't have to pay taxes. I'm so sorry. So it kind of bothers me that our community supports, excuse me, we support people. I make a point of supporting people. Excuse me. I make a point of supporting them in their art. I watch Power, and it may not bother other people. I get that. But Power made me a nervous wreck. But I watched it. I don't like stuff where people are getting shot and stuff like that. And it would have me like on the edge of my seat because I'd be so scared. Excuse me. And I couldn't watch it, before I go to bed. I'll dream about it. But at the same time, I support my black people. I don't just talk about it. I support my black people. I look at stuff that's not really good in support of people, displaying their art. And then they turn around and don't support us because they don't want to pay their taxes. It is disheartening at best. And it bothered me. It bothers me. It didn't bother me. It still bothers me. I don't understand them. They are being selfish. And I hope it doesn't hurt our community. I hope that we don't suffer another 4 years with a pathological sociopath in the White House. I usually like to end with something positive, but I honestly don't know anything positive to say about a wealthy part of our community basically spitting on the unwealthy. So, please excuse me. I'm just going to encourage people to vote. I'm going to encourage you to use your heart as well as your mind. I'm not going to try to tell anybody who to vote for or anything like that. Honestly, I don't like either one of them. But I like myself and I like my community. And I know that when people say I'm a law and order president, I know that that means that they're going to continue to kill black people. And I just cannot, with good conscience, um, do anything to support that. So the next time, we come on next Saturday, the election will have been over. Hopefully, they will have counted all of the ballots, and hopefully, we will have a new resident in the White House. And I understand Mr. Trump has said that he is not leaving. And that's the only thing really positive I can think of, because I will have on my TV, I will be watching to see if they have to drag him out, and that will give me pleasure. If they have to drag him out, and I know it shouldn't be that I'm thinking about somebody being dragged out, but I think he's just scared to go to jail because he is such a criminal. So I'm not going to belabor that or anything else. I am going to thank you for joining me, and I'm going to ask that you will support my channel. I am on every Saturday, 4 o'clock Pacific time, and it will now be 6 o'clock Eastern time. And what I would like is for people to Harrison Rivers. Hey, I would really like for people to to communicate with me to discuss the state of our community as well as me, instead of me just talking. I see that Facebook has put something on here where other people can come on and talk. It wasn't like that last week even. So that's a good thing where excuse me, we can discuss, because I don't pretend to know everything, but what I want to do is be a part of the solution as opposed to a part of the problem. So please like my page, and come back and be with me next week. Thank you. God bless.